Before we talk about killing laziness, we must understand its nature. Laziness is not the enemy outside. It is the silent voice inside your mind that whispers, "Not now, maybe later." It is the soft comfort of staying still while your life silently passes you by. We were not born to be still. We were born to move, to grow, to overcome. In every human being there exists an inner force, a warrior, a monk, a disciplined mind waiting to awaken. But this force does not rise by chance. It rises through choice. If you want to kill laziness, you don't start by fighting it, you start by disciplining your mind, by mastering your habits, by confronting your own weakness with honesty and courage. You must become the one who decides, not the one who delays. So today, I invite you not to listen passively. I invite you to feel, to reflect, and to take action. Because the moment you choose discipline over comfort, that is the moment you begin to kill the laziness within you. Laziness is not a physical weakness, it is a mental habit of avoiding discomfort. It often disguises itself in subtle forms, postponing, making excuses, waiting for the right time, or convincing ourselves that rest is more important in this moment. But in truth, what we call laziness is rarely about tiredness of the body. It is the mind rejecting friction, the discomfort of effort, the resistance to challenge. This resistance is natural, but if not recognized and managed, it becomes a habit, a deeply rooted one, and once this habit takes hold, it no longer needs a reason. It becomes automatic. We wake up feeling unmotivated not because we are weak, but because the habit of avoiding discomfort has taken root in our system. The moment something feels slightly hard, slightly unfamiliar, the mind immediately searches for escape. It finds justifications, it tells stories, it clings to comfort. Most people mistake laziness for a lack of energy, but energy is often created in movement, not in stillness. When we wait for energy to come before acting, we are trapped in a cycle that never begins. The truth is that action precedes motivation. Movement creates energy. The mind will always choose the path of least resistance if not trained otherwise. So when you repeatedly choose comfort over challenge, avoidance over engagement, you are not simply being lazy. You are teaching your mind that discomfort equals danger, and over time it learns to reject even the smallest effort because it associates that effort with unnecessary pain. The most dangerous aspect of laziness is how quietly it grows. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It makes comfort feel like a reward when in reality it is often a trap. Comfort becomes a sedative, and slowly, without realizing, the sharpness of our spirit becomes dull. We stop striving, we stop dreaming, we stop reaching for more, and this doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens gradually, through hundreds of small decisions where we chose not to act, not to stretch, not to try. Every time we avoid discomfort, we reinforce laziness. It's a loop, a feedback system. The more we give in, the stronger it becomes. People often say, "I'm just not motivated." But what they don't see is that motivation is not the root, it is the result of taking action despite not feeling like it, the result of choosing to do what is necessary, not what is easy, the result of overcoming mental resistance again and again until a new habit is formed. Laziness begins in the mind, and so does discipline. That is why transformation doesn't begin with a change in circumstance. It begins with a change in attitude. When you understand that laziness is not a condition but a pattern, you also realize that it can be broken, not by waiting for inspiration, but by challenging your comfort zone repeatedly, by showing your mind that discomfort is not a threat, but a path to strength. When the body is weak, we train it. When the muscles hurt, we keep going because we know growth is on the other side. The same is true for the mind. You have to train it. You have to make discomfort familiar, even welcome. You have to build mental endurance the same way you build physical endurance, through repetition, resistance, and commitment. The more you expose yourself to discomfort willingly, the less control laziness will have over you. The process starts with awareness, being able to pause and catch the moment when the mind seeks escape, to notice the excuses as they arise, to observe the stories you tell yourself that protect you from effort. These moments are not failures, they are opportunities. Every time you face one of these moments and choose to act anyway, you weaken the grip of laziness. You weaken the loop that's been repeating itself for years, and in its place you create a new pattern, a pattern of responsibility, effort, and inner strength. Over time, the habit of avoiding discomfort is replaced by the habit of leaning into it. There's nothing wrong with rest when it is intentional. But most laziness is not rest, it is avoidance. The body may be still, but the mind is anxious. The spirit is restless, because deep inside you know you're meant for more. You know that comfort is not what fulfills you. You know that challenge, effort, progress, that is where your strength is born. Without conscious effort, the mind will keep defaulting to the path it knows best. And if the path it knows best is avoidance, you will stay stuck. That's why killing laziness is not about a sudden burst of motivation. It's about daily choices. It's about training your mind to stop fleeing from discomfort and start embracing it. Because only when you master your relationship with discomfort can you truly master yourself. Discipline is the daily weapon that destroys the illusion of comfort. Many people believe comfort is the reward for a life well lived, but this belief is an illusion created by the mind to justify inaction. True comfort is not found in laziness or escape, but in the inner peace that comes from living with integrity, purpose, and discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is alignment. It is the act of showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. It is a daily commitment to act according to your values rather than your mood. And it is the weapon that slices through procrastination, excuses, and emotional weakness. When you develop discipline, you begin to understand that feelings are not facts. Just because you feel tired, unmotivated, or fearful does not mean you should stop. Feelings come and go, discipline remains. It is the one force you can control fully. You can't always control your environment, other people, or the events of the day, but you can control how you respond. You can control whether you show up, whether you follow through, whether you do what you said you would do. This is the power of discipline. It does not rely on the external world. It is built inside you, and it becomes stronger every time you act in alignment with your goals regardless of how you feel. Comfort, on the other hand, is seductive. It tells you to stay in bed a little longer. It tells you to start tomorrow. It tells you that you deserve a break even when you haven't earned it. Comfort tries to convince you that ease is the goal, but it forgets to tell you that ease comes at a price. The price of unrealized potential. The price of regret. The price of a life that never truly begins because it was always waiting for a more convenient time. But that convenient time never comes, because life will always have obstacles, discomfort, challenges. Discipline is what prepares you for that reality. It is what ensures that you can move forward despite the resistance. Discipline is built in the moments when it would be easier to quit, when it would be easier to sit down, complain, or give up. Discipline is forged in the silence of the early morning when the world is still asleep and you choose to rise. It is built in the cold, in the rain, in the repetition of tasks that no one sees. It is formed in the refusal to negotiate with your excuses. Each time you say no to the voice that says I can't, not today, or this is too hard, you sharpen your inner blade, and that blade becomes the tool you use to carve out the life you are capable of living. There is no shortcut to mastery, no secret formula to greatness. What exists is discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done over and over again, even when the results are not immediate, even when progress is slow, even when nobody else is watching. Because the truth is, you are always watching. Your inner self knows when you've held back. Your spirit knows when you've broken your word, and that knowledge eats away at you from within, not because you are weak, but because you are out of alignment. Discipline restores that alignment. It brings the mind, body, and spirit into unity. It gives you back your power. Comfort can be an illusion that traps you in mediocrity, but discipline is the tool that frees you. It opens the door to strength, clarity, and resilience. It allows you to trust yourself, to build confidence not from external validation, but from internal proof. Every small act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become, and those votes add up, they compound. One disciplined day becomes one disciplined week. One disciplined week becomes a month, a year, a life. Discipline doesn't require perfection. It requires Persistence, it asks only that you show up, that you commit, that you try, not once, but daily, repeatedly, relentlessly. When others are distracted, discipline keeps you focused. When others quit, discipline keeps you moving. When fear tries to control your mind, discipline grounds you in action. It doesn't silence the fear, but it teaches you to move through it, to act anyway, to rise above. That is its power. It doesn't eliminate difficulty. It makes you stronger than your difficulty. Discipline is not about having control over everything. It is about having control over yourself, and that is enough, because once you master yourself, you can master anything. The body follows the mind. Train the mind, and the body will obey. Every physical action begins first with a thought, an intention, a decision. The strength or weakness of the body is often a reflection of the strength, weakness of the mind that commands it. People often try to change their bodies without first addressing the mind, but the body is simply a servant to the mind's will. If the mind is undisciplined, filled with doubt, or clouded by fear, the body will hesitate, give up, or never start at all. On the other hand, when the mind is clear, strong, and focused, the body becomes capable of extraordinary endurance, resilience, and transformation. The training of the mind is the root of all personal evolution. Without mental clarity, goals become vague. Without mental discipline, efforts are inconsistent. Without mental strength, challenges become unbearable. The body cannot lead when the mind is lost. That's why true transformation starts with thought, intention, and mindset. You must condition your mind to tolerate discomfort, to focus despite distraction, to persevere through difficulty. When the mind becomes unshakable, the body begins to follow with new power. The limits people face in performance, consistency, and health are rarely physical first. They are mental. A tired mind makes the body feel tired. A fearful mind makes the body shrink back. A distracted mind leads to wasted effort. Training the mind does not happen by chance. It is a deliberate process. It requires presence and awareness. You must begin to observe how your mind reacts when faced with difficulty. Does it complain? Does it run? Does it create excuses or blame external factors? These reactions are habits, just like anything else, and like any habit, they can be unlearned and replaced. The key is repetition. Every time you face resistance and choose to keep going, you are rewiring the mind. You are showing yourself that discomfort is not danger, that effort is not punishment, that quitting is not the only option. Slowly, the mind begins to build new patterns, and once those patterns are strong, the body follows without hesitation. There are moments when the body feels weak, tired, or overwhelmed. In those moments, it is not the body that must be convinced, it is the mind. The inner dialogue is what determines whether you keep going or stop. If your mind is trained to say, keep pushing, the body will obey. If your mind says, this is too much, the body will submit. This is why elite performers, warriors, and monks all focus deeply on mental training. They understand that physical strength without mental mastery is unstable. It can collapse under pressure, but a trained mind becomes a guide, a leader, a constant force. It becomes the commander of your actions, not the follower of your emotions. Your thoughts shape your posture, your breathing, your energy. The moment you feel defeated mentally, your shoulders drop, your breath shortens, your energy shrinks. But when you think with purpose and strength, your chest lifts, your breath deepens, your steps become steady. This connection between mind and body is not mystical, it is biological, it is neurological, it is real and measurable, and it can be trained. Every morning you wake up and make a decision to train your mind is a day your body becomes more disciplined. Every time you resist a distraction, a craving, or a negative emotion, your mind becomes stronger, and with each mental victory, the body responds with more obedience, more efficiency, more capability. In moments of fatigue, the untrained mind listens to the body and stops. But the trained mind tells the body, we are not finished yet. That command, repeated over time, becomes a standard, and the body, hearing that command again and again, begins to rise to the expectation. This is how transformation happens, not in bursts of motivation, but in quiet mental commands consistently followed. The body is not your enemy, it is your ally, but it will only be as powerful as the mind that directs it. If your mind is lazy, unfocused, or filled with doubt, the body reflects that. But if your mind is disciplined, determined, and clear. The body mirrors that strength. The mind is the lens through which you experience pain, struggle, and pressure. A weak mind magnifies difficulty. A strong mind reduces fear. It doesn't mean pain disappears, but it does mean you learn how to carry it without breaking. You learn how to pace yourself through it. You learn how to turn pain into a tool. And when the mind becomes comfortable with pressure, the body learns to perform under that pressure. This connection is what separates those who give up from those who grow. It is the mind that sets the pace, and it is the body that keeps the rhythm. They are not separate. They are one system. And to command the body, you must first conquer the mind. Small, consistent actions overcome the heaviest resistance. When people imagine change, they often think it must be dramatic, instant, and fueled by intensity. They look for breakthroughs, for sudden transformations, for massive shifts that happen overnight. But real change, the kind that lasts, does not come from explosions of effort. It comes from small, repeated actions done consistently, even when they feel insignificant. These small steps might seem powerless against the weight of resistance, but when done daily, they create unstoppable momentum. It is not about how much you do in one day, it is about what you do every day. The mind often underestimates the power of repetition. It wants to see results immediately. It wants the reward before it has built the routine. This impatience becomes a barrier. It convinces you that your efforts are pointless if they don't produce fast results. But growth doesn't respond to impatience. It responds to consistency. A seed does not sprout the moment you plant it. It needs time, sunlight, water, and care. And even though nothing seems to be happening at first, deep under the surface, roots are forming. The same is true for your habits, your mindset, your transformation. Small actions are like drops of water. They seem small individually, but over time they can wear down even the hardest stone. When you choose to take one small action every day, you build more than progress. You build trust. You show yourself that you can commit, that you can follow through, that you can keep going even when motivation fades. Motivation is temporary, but consistency builds identity. It creates a sense of direction and purpose. Each day you act, you vote for the person you want to become. These votes compound. They become part of your character. They build momentum that eventually becomes hard to stop. And once momentum is on your side, resistance loses its power. Resistance often shows up as doubt, procrastination, fear, or fatigue. It tells you that you're not ready, that you're too far behind, that what you're doing isn't working. But resistance is not a sign that you should stop, it's a sign that you're pushing into new territory. The key is not to defeat resistance in one massive effort, but to chip away at it, daily, quietly, relentlessly. Small actions are the chisel. Each one weakens the resistance a little more, and over time, what once felt immovable begins to give way. It begins to shift, it begins to break. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They start strong, then fade when the excitement wears off. They expect progress to be linear, and when it isn't, they give up. But those who understand the power of consistency are not discouraged by slow progress. They know that every action, no matter how small, adds to the whole. One push-up today may seem like nothing. One journal entry, one meditation, 1 minute of focus. It all seems too small to matter. But stack those actions over weeks, months, and years, and they become powerful. They create transformation from the inside out. Success is often invisible. It looks like waking up early when no one sees. It looks like choosing discipline over distraction when no one applauds. It looks like doing the same thing again and again without needing attention or immediate reward. This invisible work is where strength is built, and it's through this repetition that your capacity grows. You begin to handle more, to think clearer, to move with more purpose. Small, consistent actions build not just results, but resilience. They train your nervous system to tolerate pressure, your focus to sharpen, your willpower to endure. When your life feels stuck, the solution is often not some massive shift, but a return to the basics. What are the small things you can control today? What action, even if tiny, can you take right now that aligns with your purpose? Waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan is another form of resistance. Progress doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who act. And the most successful people are not the ones who do the most. They are the ones who do the right things consistently. They understand that excellence is not an event, it is a system, a process, a lifestyle. The beauty of small, consistent actions is that they are available to everyone. You don't need special talent, massive resources, or ideal conditions. You only need the willingness to show up, again and again, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one notices, because in the silence of repetition, your future is being built, your resistance is being eroded, your identity is being shaped, and with each small step, you are moving forward, not just in what you do, but in who you are becoming. Laziness is not a curse you are born with, it is a pattern you've repeated, and patterns can be broken. The power to kill your laziness lies not in waiting for motivation, but in embracing discipline, in mastering your mind, and in trusting the quiet force of consistent action. When you train your mind, the body follows. When you challenge comfort, strength is born. And when you commit to small daily victories, even the heaviest resistance begins to crumble. This journey is not about perfection. It's about choosing progress over excuses, effort over ease, and purpose over passivity. Because the moment you decide to stop negotiating with your weakness and start standing guard over your growth, you don't just overcome laziness, you rise far beyond it.